It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning. As usual, I have everything screwed up. Wrong cameras on and the wrong microphone on, and I got sound on the other computer. Good Lord. Everything's messed up here this morning. I got to get that off. Good Lord. So, sorry about that, folks. I was on page 3, and the rest of my brain was on page 5. Anyway, oh well. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News. Maybe now I've got things together so we can get started. Got several stories to cover this morning, but before we get to that, I got a question to ask everybody, and please stick an answer in the comments. You guys talk in the comments all day anyway. So tonight, the Prez is going to be down in Miami doing this town hall, because the whole thing with having the debate tonight isn't, and all that business. But the president and the vice president are going to be in Miami. Not that I'm planning on watching it. I'm not going to watch either one of them, folks, because you know what my feelings are about politicians. So I'm not going to put it on either channel. But I'm sure I will get a lot of news about what is said, should it be said at the time. So my question to you is, will the president tonight talk about the cruise industry at all? You know, they had this meeting last Friday, this virtual meeting with the vice president and the cruise line folks. Nobody is saying directly what anybody said in that meeting. There's a lot of assumptions on what was said. I have my feelings about it. I also have my feelings about what the administration has done for the cruise industry since this administration started, which is all negative, which I talked about Tuesday. So just your opinion, will the president talk about the cruise industry tonight, since he's right there in Miami in the heart of the cruise industry? And there's going to be a lot of people in that town hall that this might affect. And then if he does talk about the cruise industry, what's he going to say? Will it be the bully pulpit and trying to coerce the CDC into just letting things go? Or will he just completely ignore the issue? Purely your opinions. Drop it in the comments. We'll go back and look at that later to see what everybody has to say about it. All right, we do have we got several stories this morning, and first of all, if I do have a couple new subscribers that have come on board. If you're here today, welcome aboard. As always, we're here Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock. We talk about travel and cruise industry news and other things, but primarily travel and cruise industry, and primarily we're heavier toward the cruise end of things because we all love to cruise. So make no bones about that. We are interested mostly in that, although we do doing more and more with travel stuff now because of the whole pandemic thing, and none of us can cruise, or at least a lot of us in this country can't cruise. So anyway, if you're new, welcome aboard. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. The little subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner. The bell notification lets you know when I go live or when we post a new video. But we do have a couple stories to talk about today. And the lead story is the probe into CDC interference. It's actually, that's really not worded right. It's a probe into the White House interference with the CDC. So I guess my wording was a little funky on that one. But anyway, here's what's happened. And I have some real mixed opinions on this one, folks. The chairman of the House Subcommittee on Coast Guard and Maritime Transportation, and that is the Honorable Sean Patrick Maloney, a Democrat from New York, has requested additional documents from the CDC amid reports that the Trump administration intervened in a decision on when cruise ships can safely resume sailings. Now, we've discussed that numerous times on what the administration did or did not do. But basically, the reports alleged that the Trumpster put undue pressure on the CDC, who wanted to do the new sail order to the 15th of February. And after the pressure was put on by the administration, the CDC extended it till October 31st. The cruise lines, of course, on their own had already, with the exception of Carnival, had canceled cruises till December 1st, which was an additional month. And then as of Monday, Carnival canceled the cruises that they had planned for November from the 6 ships in Port Canaveral and Miami. Representative Maloney released a statement yesterday about the cruise ships and the whole business with the administration putting pressure basically on the CDC. Pretty clear that the Trumpster did that. He also has written a letter to CDC Director Robert Redfield, and he talks about a number of things through this. Now, here's where I have a problem with this whole thing, folks. As I have stated, I am totally opposed to the administration putting undue restraint and pressure on the CDC to do anything. I think the CDC needs to be an independent agency that looks after the health and safety of this country. Period. The end. There's several health organizations, Fauci's organizations, the same way. I know there's a lot of people opposed to the World Health Organization, but they have to be independent. You can't pressure them. You got to let the science dictate what you do. And that may not be something that we all want, folks, like especially with the cruise lines. Was Redfield right when he says that he feels it's best that we don't cruise until mid-February? I mean, that's a debatable issue. But I feel that they should be independent on that. So now we've got this Democrat, of course, back to politics again. Here's the House Subcommittee on something I never heard of before, wanting to get in and stir up trouble with the president for what he did. And I think that's just as bad as the president putting pressure. This is not something that either party needs to be involved in. Let things happen naturally. The other thing I have problems with, in the letter that he sent to this Maloney fella from New York. Sorry, Emily, I'm talking bad about a Democrat from New York, but that's the way it is. All the guy said in the letter to the CDC and in his statement dredged up all the negative crap on the cruise industry from back in February and March, and used all the statistics and stuff from when we didn't even know what COVID was, and we had the problems on half dozen or so cruise ships, and then they had problems that carried on until they got their act together and came up with their own protocols and started cleaning right and doing, they made a lot of changes. So he used all the old crap in both the letter to the CDC and in his statement. And I don't think it's fair to the cruise industry at all. So it goes back to my feelings about politicians. Here's another politician. If that mouth is running, Don't believe a word he's saying. Because all he's doing, he doesn't care a damn about the cruise industry, folks. He just wants to make Trump look bad and to cause problem with Trump. That's all the Democrats seem to want to do anymore. They're certainly not doing anything to help any of us. Of course, neither are the Republicans. That's why I'm not going to be listening tonight. So I didn't want to start ranting on this today, but that's the truth, folks. I'm sick and tired of politics. Nowhere in any of this stuff from this Representative Maloney does he mention what's going on in Europe. Now, and I'm not talking about the health problems in Europe. They've got their own problems like we have in this country, when it's worse now than it was 2 months ago. But he doesn't talk about the cruises that have started sailing in Europe successfully. The MSC cruises, we're on their 9th cruise now with no problems. The 3rd Costa ship sailed this week, the Smeralda, is at sea right now. That's the 3rd major cruise line of Costa, owned by Carnival, that has had no problems. Why? Because the cruise line got their act together with their protocols. They've set up the things. There's things on this that I don't like. There's things on this that none of us like. But if we want to cruise and we want to cruise safely, we're going to have to put up with it until this thing is gone. Whenever that is, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't know how long this stuff's going to last. But until we've eradicated this disease totally, it's going to be this way. You're going to have to wear a mask. You're going to have to go through the social distancing. You're not going to have buffets on the cruise lines. They're going to be cleaning constantly. There's all the changes in getting on board the ships and stuff. You're going to have to be tested. You're going to have to wear the mask. You're going to have to wear the mask. You're going to have to wear the mask. You're not going to be able to go on excursions. I can't go to what I've done for excursions. I've been cruising since 1978, and all but maybe 3 or 4 cruise ports of call. I've done the same thing. I get off the boat. I go someplace local, a nice little bar or a restaurant, and sometimes if there's not things like I know, like Margaritaville or one of the regulars that I hit when I'm in the Caribbean, then I'll just go hiking until I find a nice little local tavern or restaurant and go in and meet some people and have a meal and have a drink or two. That's how I like to spend my time in the ports. I'm not a big excursion guy. I don't go off and go to some of the sightseeing things. I do stuff on my own. That's what I've always done. I can't do that anymore because you can't leave the boat. You got to go with the canned excursions. I mean, unless they come up with excursions that's going to be fit right up my alley, we're going to have to wait and see. We don't know what it's going to mean. For instance, I mentioned this a couple times. I've been working on a video for Cartagena, Colombia. Okay. And it's got a little bit about the history of Cartagena in the background and the things that you do in Cartagena. Well, that's the things you used to do. Yeah, I've got all kinds of information on excursions in Cartagena, but we don't know if those excursions are going to be what the cruise lines are going to be accepted and what they can tie into their health protocols to keep people safe to get back on the boat. We just don't know. And it may be something that's going to change from cruise line to cruise line that goes into a port like Cartagena. It may be something that goes cruise ship to cruise ship. One cruise from Holland, America might go into Cartagena, and the next day another ship from Cartagena goes in there, and they offer different excursions. Who knows? We don't know yet. We don't know how they're going to handle that. But anyway, back to Maloney here. He makes no mention of what's been done right. None in this political crap. Again. So, one of the reasons, folks, I'm fed up with all of them. I'm totally fed up with all of them. if I could never vote for an an incumbent politician on either side, folks, Republican or Democrat, if I could never have to vote for an incumbent again, I'd probably die happy, because I don't like any of them. I don't care, bar none. None of them are worth a damn as far as I'm concerned. So, if that upsets you, sorry. All right, let's move on. See if I can get my blood pressure back under control. I'm just teasing on that one. And yeah, I'm going to touch base on some health issues here after we get done with the stories, because there are some questions from yesterday that some of you have posed with me. I'm going to answer today from that happened yesterday. So anyway, that's a picture I took of the Zyder Dam down in Cozumel when I was there in January or February, first week of February. Carnival Corporation yesterday gave an update about a data breach that affected information from several other cruise lines, including Carnival Cruise Line and Holland America, and it's one of the small Seabourn maybe. But another data breach. We've had several of these over time. They got a hold of it. They know what's happened. They're doing all the legal stuff to put a stop to it, and trying to get all the operations restored properly and see how much damage has been done. And supposedly when they put that all together, they're going to, if somebody has gotten a hold of your information from your account with Carnival or with Holland America, they're supposed to let you know about that in time. So data breach from Carnival. All right, here's some really good news for you guys that like to travel down in the Southern Caribbean. Curacao. The beautiful, colorful island of Curacao is reopening its borders to Americans. Can you imagine that? However, they're only going to accept right now, at least for the time being, Americans from 3 states, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. If you don't live in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, Curacao says, you ain't coming. That's the way it's going to be in a lot of places now, folks, until these worthless politicians quit playing political ball and let the science people get in here and get this pandemic under control, and we start acting like it and do things that we're supposed to do. You know, you're going to get a lot of that, folks. They're going to say, you're an American? Screw you. Stay home. So, Hawaii, we talked about Hawaii Tuesday. And a follow-up to our story, Tuesday, the Hawaii governor announced that different travel guidelines have been established for different islands. Basically, his rules impact travel to Kauai, Maui, and the Big Island. Kauai has established a voluntary testing program on day 3 after arrival. Maui has established a voluntary post-arrival testing program. And Hawaii Island, the Big Island, will require an antigen test for all arriving trans-Pacific travelers. So they're welcoming travelers, and that starts today, as a matter of fact. Hawaii is welcoming folks today, but there are some new guidelines by the governor, which are in effect. So you're still going to have to be tested under one of the protocols, depending on where you're going in Hawaii. All right, I saw that Gretchen's here this morning. Gretchen, glad to have you here, and we'll talk bad about you a while now. Talk bad about Emily a little bit. Now we're going to talk about Gretchen. Gretchen lives in Ohio. Ohio yesterday added Indiana to its list of states covered by a travel advisory. It means that those entering Ohio after spending time in the Hoosier state have to be self-quarantined for 14 days. Governor Mike DeWine said 8 states in total are on the list. The others on the list for Ohio are Iowa, Idaho, South Dakota, Kansas, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. So, an advisory now from Ohio. You know, we've talked about New York's advisory before. It's a lot more extensive than this. They've got a lot more states on theirs. And the reason that this really became an important issue for me is my niece left this morning going to Indiana. We had a heart-to-heart talk about that before she left. I told her about the travel advisory also because she was going to go up through Ohio, which is okay today. She can drive up through Ohio, but she comes back coming home. You know, she's going up there for family things, by the way. It's something she could not avoid. But anyway, coming back, if she's driving back, she can't go through Ohio without running the risk of, you know, if she stops the car for some reason and finds out she's in Indiana, who knows how they're going to, I have no idea how they enforce these travel things, but it's something she doesn't want to mess with traveling. So she's going to have to go south into Kentucky and across, you know, 64 and West Virginia back to get back home. But anyway, I think, by the way, also Chicago has their own travel advisory too. I didn't know that either because I guess I'm not on the right mailing list to get all these other travel advisories. In New York, I get information from them all the time. But Chicago has Indiana on their travel advisory also. So Indiana's one of the big spike states. So the Vasco da Gamma. Remember the Vasco da Gamma? The Vasco da Gamma used to be a P&O ship. This is more for you guys over on the European side of things. CMV bought them, and of course CMV went belly up. The Vasco da Gama will serve British and German markets under the Mystic Cruises ownership. The company announced that they have purchased the 1993 built ship from Cruise and Maritime Voyages at auction. So I have requested an interview from somebody from Mystic Cruises. Quite frankly, I didn't even know they existed. As there are many companies and cruise companies in Europe that I'm just learning about. I've said this before, folks. Many of us in America, in the United States, have that arrogance of Americans and pay no attention to what goes on in the rest of the world, even in our own space of cruising that we love. There's a lot of cruise lines out there I didn't know existed that I'm really finding a great deal of interest from. So, all right, that takes care of that. The other thing that we did talk about Tuesday was my friends down in Yorktown at Waterman's Museum. Saturday is the annual Oyster Roast, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Waterman's Museum in Yorktown. If you like oysters, boy, and you're out and about Saturday, this would be a place to go. There's no charge. It's free. Of course, if you eat oysters, you got to pay for what you eat. They are doing a little differently this year. It used to be an all-you-could-eat kind of buffet thing. This year, they've got a couple of neat chefs in. The Chef K and the Virginia Blue Crab will be there to do up all the preparation and so forth for the oysters. And they're going to serve all the different ways the oysters can be served. So I'm sure that's going to mean some fried, some half shell, some steamed, the oysters, Rockefeller, oyster stew. I don't even know how many other ways they can be served. But anyway, will be a really fun thing if you can travel and you're out and about. Good place to go on Saturday. I've been to this a couple times before. It's fabulous. They're good people. I used to go down there and sell funnel cakes quite a bit in the summertime back in the day. All fresh stuff coming from Julianne Seafood in Gloucester. So highly recommended if you got nothing going on Saturday. Head to Yorktown, Virginia. So help my friends out there. Okay. Yesterday, guys know that I've been doing the treatment on the knee, and I've been doing therapy on the knee. And I've had back issues because of the work I've been doing on my knee, and that's been screwing up. It's between the two. I've been staying in a mess. But yesterday was my semi-annual lung scan. You guys remember we went through 6 months ago, we went through the lung scan, and they had me scheduled to go in for a biopsy. And the night before the biopsy, the surgeon took a look at the thing and says, wait a minute, these are too small to even mess with the biopsy. Let's just watch them. So watching them, my next lung scan was yesterday. So it's a piece of cake. You go in the tube thing, but it's the open tube. But I can't do the closed in tight tube. It's the big thing for honking fat people like me. And they roll you through there, and it takes about a minute total. And they roll you back out, and you get the hell up and you go. And there's no waiting. It's an easy test. So I get there yesterday morning expecting to go in and out like always. And they said, oh, by the way, have you ever had the dye test before? I said, what? Well, we shoot you full of radioactive dye. And they can see other things in the test. I said, well, why didn't anybody tell me this? Well, I don't know, but it's right here on the order. She shows me this order, and I don't know what that all that Greek crap is. And I've had dye tests before, so I didn't care. Yeah, they stick you in the arm, they put a portal in. And of course I teased about it. I said, yeah, what they are. My hair turns orange and my pee turns purple. But actually, that really didn't happen. I did glow in the dark all night last night. Anyway, so I do this same lung scan, only this time with radioactive dye shooting through me. It still was a piece of cake, other than, because I have been taking a lot of Tylenol and ibuprofen because of the back and the knee. My blood is thinner than normal. So it was a pain in the butt to get the stupid thing to quit bleeding. But other than that, that's still a ha-ha. Until the body started getting rid of the dye. And if you guys have ever done this before, there's only one way that the dye comes out of you. And that happens to do with the kidneys and flushing stuff out of the system. Well, until about 3 o'clock this morning, I was running to the bathroom about every 15 minutes. I'm actually tired today because of walking back and forth to the bathroom to get this radioactive dye out of my system so I don't glow in the dark. So next week sometime I go in and I see what they find out. It's not one of those things that I'm worried about. It's one of those things we've been watching for, it's been 5 years now since I quit smoking. So it was about a year after that that my personal physician started getting me to do these scan things and with the respiratory folks just to keep an eye on it. So that's what I did. I do. So we'll see what happens. We'll get a report. I'll give you a report back as soon as I get it next week. Now, I'm figuring it's going to be the same thing. We keep watching it. They're not doing anything. All right, let's go over and see who's here and everybody said anything worthwhile this morning. Yeah, Gretchen's here. I saw Gretchen first thing before I actually went on the air. She was here early today, and then I talked bad about her lovely state of Ohio today. Of course, I really didn't talk bad about her state of Ohio. I didn't talk bad about Emily's state of New York, just one person in it. That's only because, he's a politician. Nikki's here. Good morning from a sultry Jacksonville. You know what? I haven't even paid any attention to the weather last night. It was a little cool, but I think it's going to be up in the 70s again today. We've had some pretty nice weather here. It's chilly time, says Tom Henry. I'm hearing the song, It's Howdy Doody Time. Yeah, that's pretty close. And then I go ranting off right off the get-go, Tom. What can I say? He says, oh my God, howdy doody. Haven't thought of that in 1,000 years. First show I saw on TV. Can you imagine somebody is Jason up there in Pittsburgh? He's young enough. He probably doesn't even know who the hell howdy doody is. The rest of us do. The rest of us are in that age category that all watched Howdy Doody. Tom says, town hall in Miami. I bet the topic will be asked about. I'm thinking it will be too. I'm not going to watch it. I'll wait and see what people say is said. But somebody got to ask about that from Miami in the audience, unless they've got real strict controls on questions. Cindy's with us. Good morning from Dallas. Nice breeze and very pleasant temperature, 68 for the morning walk. That's pretty cool, Cindy. It was colder than that here this morning. I wouldn't have wanted to get out and walk early. Bella enjoys her 2 3/4 mile walks daily. Whoa. I would be tickled pink if I could walk 2 3/4 miles with or without Bella. I have started doing some walking, a little more walking, folks, and without, some difficulty. Yeah, I walk a while and it hurts the back, so I stop and I rest, and then I start walking again, and then my knee starts hurting, and I have to stop and rest. But I have been doing more walking than I have been. So, Amy's with us. Hi, Chillie. I think if the president talks about jobs in Miami, he has to be talking about the cruise industry. I think so, too. I think he's got to say something again. Then the next thing is, do you believe him? More waste of taxpayer money regarding the New York Senate probe. Yeah, I agree. I get fed up with all of them. Hi, Gretchen. I think the opposite of sultry is crisp. Yes, it is. Another power-hungry Democrat. I'm not going to disagree with that. Again, I'm not taking political sides on this one, folks. I'm against all of them. Absolutely all of them. Let's see. Amy says, in my opinion, the CDC only wants to extend the no-sale order to February so they can keep extending it until there's a cure for the disease or a vaccine. That would be the end of cruising. That's a good point. I would hate to think that that's the underlying truth. But I think you've got to make a good point on that one. It's just that I have too much faith in the science and the scientists and the people like Redfield, who is still a political appointment, but his underlings, the people underneath him, are career scientists. They've done nothing their entire life but work for the CDC and work on issues that affect our health. And I think that's important under these circumstances to be in charge of how we get past this pandemic. And They haven't been. They've been cut off by the administration. And the administration started off in the right direction. Boy, the first, once they set up their committee with Pence, I was all in favor of what they were doing. I thought they were doing a terrific job until they came up with the day they had the list of started how to reopen, and they had specific guidelines established by the CDC on what you had to do to start reopening your economy. That made perfectly good sense. The next day, several of the states started reopening without meeting those guidelines, and the administration let them do it because they were Republican states. That's when I started really being against what they were doing, because they were completely throwing out their own guidelines, and which they've done continuously since then. So you are right, Chillie, as always. I'm right always. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Gretchen. That's very nice of you. I don't ever think I'm right. I'm right for me. But I mean, I'm going to give my advice or my thoughts on things. I think the CDC should be an advisory role, not an actual party to control the industry. Now that I'll agree with, although there's a thin line between protocols with what you should do and controlling the industry. The protocols, and I don't know who established MSC's protocols. If there was a health agency that worked with MSC before they started sailing, I don't know. I don't know that for a fact. Or whether that was all done internally by MSC folks. I mean, MSC is a lot bigger corporation than we think of just because of their cruise ships. I mean, they have their worldwide corporation with thousands of ships of all sorts, cargo ships and everything else. But I don't know who helped them set up the protocols that are working so well. They've been able to sail successfully now. This is the 9th week. Actually, I think they've successfully sailed nine weeks. So this is the 10th week. But I don't have a problem with the CDC issuing protocols and saying, here's what you need to do. Now, them actually controlling the industry, that maybe is going too far. But then, no, I'm not so sure about that, Tom. There's a good debatable issue on that one. We go back and read that again. I think CDC should be an advisor role, not an actual party to control industry. But what if the industry is doing something that is adverse to the public health? Then the CDC needs to have enough teeth that they can stop that, or at least attempt to stop it. I don't know. That's a good debatable issue, though, folks. I can see both sides of that issue. Emily's with us. Hey, Emily. Glad you're here from up there in New York. Everybody's saying hi to Emily now. Amy says, I saw someone wearing a T-shirt that says politics ruins everything. Isn't that the guy? Boy, I wish I had one of those. Gretchen says, I want to go to Italy in May. I'll wear the mask already. I know. And it's like me in October. I'm going to be over there in October, and I sure don't want anything to screw that up. After Chillie's show, I have to get ready for work today, and I have off tomorrow. I get my schedule for next week. I'm glad Emily's back working. Keeps her out of trouble, and she gets out there playing with the dogs and stuff. That's pretty cool. And I'm allowed to rant. Rant on. Yeah, Emily's one of the people who likes my rants. I didn't realize some of you don't like my rants, but that's, I'm going to rant when I get aggravated. Jason here hiding in the background. Hadn't seen Jason today. Don't know. Anyone listen to the Senate hearing? No. Absolutely not. Again, there are politicians involved. Nope. The only time I will watch anything political between now and whatever date the damn election is. I mean, I've voted, folks. My vote is in. I don't know if it's counted yet because of the way they do it in Virginia. I don't know if they counted early. It's been counted. It's turned into the registrar, whatever the hell he is. The next time I look at any politics will be the night of the election, and I'll turn on to see who won, if we know that night and how it's going. Other than that, if a politician comes on, right, left, down the middle, black, green, yellow, whatever, no. Change the channel. I'll watch Law and Order reruns again before I watch a politician. Lots of individual cancellations for NCL in January through March. Yeah, I don't understand. Some of the stuff that NCL's done is really weird because, again, with my website, I've got a lot of NCL cruises on there. And then some of the dates, they're not all like to January 1st. Some of them, they're weird dates. I'm not sure I understand how NCL's doing things. Of course, I've tried to get their CEO too for an interview. I failed at that one so far, but I'll keep trying. Someone said the canal is closed. It is? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know if anybody's selling to one. Yeah, the freighters and stuff, they still got to go through the canal. Canal's not closed. My bet is NCL cancels all of December, then has 2 ships starting in January. Wonder what will happen in February. Well, now that's a possibility. And I personally, I think a lot is going to be determined by what happens in Florida in the next couple weeks. If Florida keeps going up like they are right now, especially with the governor wide open, I'm looking for a major spike in Florida, and that's going to translate to shutting everything down in Florida again. Tom got his refunds for the November 1st and November 29th cancellations. Sweet. So you take your refunds, you go down to Yorktown and eat some oysters Saturday. That's what I would do. I wish I could do that. I did. Listen, folks, I do miss going and traveling, and I miss that a lot. So I was expecting Chillie to pick on Ohio, sending out incorrect ballots. Listen, that doesn't bother me in the least. Those are technical issues that there's problems in half a dozen places, and they're fixing them. So they sent out some bad ballots. They're fixing it. I've never particularly, the whole business that voting by mail was bad. I never did buy into that one. Yeah, we've had absentee ballots since what, the 60s? Yeah, it's going to be more of it this year because people like me don't want to go to the polls and stand in line with these idiots that won't wear masks. So that's the only way we can vote and do it safely is to go absentee or drop it off early. which we went at the absentee route and dropped it off. We didn't take a chance on the post office because I don't trust them either because politicians are involved. Gretchen got hers and sent it in. It was correct. Okay. Gretchen's vote is in. That's cool. I just looked back in the chat about Howdy Doody. My girlfriend lived in the house where they filmed Howdy Doody. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Howdy Doody. I spent a lot of time watching Howdy Doody. I see you have a sweater on. I just saw the temperature here. It's 70 today. It wasn't 70 here this morning. It was like 47 or something. It's going up to 70. I won't have this on all day, probably. It depends on if I go outside to walk around the pool. If I do that, I might keep it on because it's still a little cooler than I like. But anyway, that one we'll see. I do have to go walk a dog shortly. One of our regular clients, since Amanda is gone now. And Tom was saying there was a Fox interview on YouTube with the Ohio governor yesterday. Gretchen says she sees her governor plenty. Tom likes Sky News from Australia. He finds them entertaining. Well, I follow some of the news out of New Zealand because I find them really interesting folks down there. And they've done a good job of handling the pandemic thing in New Zealand. I mean, they ended up having a big spike of cases, 9. And they shut down until they got those 9 eradicated, and they opened back up again. Cindy says, I filled out my ballot yesterday, going to turn it in to one of the early voting polls today. I agree. I don't trust the mail. Good, Cindy. Glad to see you doing that. I'm sorry, but to me, folks, that's the way to go. That's what we did. The 3 of us here, we requested absentee ballots. That was actually before we knew that you could actually go in and drop them off. But we requested the absentee ballots. So we went through that procedure, and they sent out once you request the absentee ballot, then you have to fill out a form to actually get the ballot sent to you. So we did that. We got the ballots. Then they have the procedures for signing and having a witness and all that on the ballot. We did all the correct steps, and we took them and dropped them right in. So better than going and standing in the polls. So that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. I'm going to go pet sit. Go walk little Daisy Do Squat, we call her. It's one of our favorite regular clients, which is just around the corner from me. So I just got to run over and take the dog out for a few minutes. But I'll be back with you on Saturday morning, of course. Again, folks, if you're new, welcome aboard. We always appreciate thumbs up for everything we do. And don't forget, hit that little subscribe button, and you'll keep up with when we go live or when we post videos. And as always, guys, please be healthy, stay healthy, wear your mask, socially distance, stay away from people as much as you can. And I'll see you guys again come Saturday morning. Have a great day, y'all. The Fat Travel Guy. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.